genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. And these remakes keep coming. We've shot them, stabbed them, clubbed them, sprayed them with holy water, staked them through the heart, and still they live. So, Aurora, is Van Helsing a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
It should be remade.
Great.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting all the violence in the intro, but alright, I'll take it. We love to see it.
So for the intro, I was trying to pull, like, a quote, and I'm like, because I was, like, go through the list of quotes, and, like, one of the earlier episodes of the season is Jurassic Park.
Oh.
An abundance of quotes. Oh. And there are very good lines in this movie, but sometimes they're, like, within the context of the scene and don't necessarily work, and so for that seemed fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So much.
But, Aurora, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Before we dive into anything else, tell the audience listening a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I am Aurora. I am a monsters enthusiast, a fashion enthusiast, an art enthusiast of many, many levels.
All of those things are in the movie.
Yeah, that's why I love this film so much.
It's a good movie.
Oh my god.
So, what do you remember the first time you saw Van Helsing?
Yes. So, you remember those, like, DVD car players that, like, kind of look like a laptop?
Yeah.
With their own little backpack. You put it against the back of the passenger side.
They had enough power for about a movie, maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah, and then you just plug it into the car charge port.
Or if you're on an airplane, you don't do that.
Yes, and then you're screwed.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we were going on not my first road trip, but I think my first past state lines road trip with my family to go to Arizona for Christmas. And we got one of those DVD players, and I don't know why I got Van Helsing. I just know that it was one of the movies I chose, I'm pretty sure, from somewhere. And I put it on the way, I think it was on the way back home. And I was so enthralled. I'm like, I need to watch this again without the shitty screen glare, you know?
Yeah.
Because all the light from the sun is hitting the window and then hitting the screen, and then all of a sudden you can't see anything because that movie is very dark.
Honestly, if that movie were made with a lot of, like, more, like, common, like, tropes of modern movies, might be a lot darker.
That's very true.
Because as we were watching this movie, like, all of us were like, they're shooting day for night, and we are glad for it.
Just the shades of blue.
Yeah.
The different shades of blue are lovely.
It got the job done.
That's very true, and it portrayed nighttime very well.
And I appreciated it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so this is a movie that you watched, like, as a kid, and then just, like, kept in rotation forever?
Yes, because, I'm a little alternative person. I'm just like vampires, and I loved Hugh Jackman.
Everything helps.
That's, yeah. And I was just like, Hugh Jackman and vampires. What more could I ask for? This is now on my rotation.
I mean, I'll see you Hugh Jackman and vampires, but can I raise you Kate Beckinsdale?
That's very true. That's very true. We owned a lot of the Underworld movies, but I don't think we watched them together as a family. So I don't have a huge connection to Kate Beckinsale. I can agree that she is a very attractive woman. But I have, like, no, like, emotional connection. I have no emotional connection to Kate Beckinsale.
As opposed to Hugh Jackman, where it's like, but X-Men.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
That's Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, I also have a memory of sitting down and watching the X-Men movies with my family, because I also very much have a memory of being asked questions about what's going on and why it's happening throughout the entirety of both that movie and the first one and the second one, and being like, we don't have to do this.
That just reminded me, have you seen that video of this dude has a movie put on, but he watched it in advance and has a PowerPoint on the ceiling being projected so that if his mom ever had a question, he just scrolled down.
It's the next slide?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's so good.
It's just like, who's that? That's, I don't remember, like, Adam add an actor's name there. But like, yeah, no, it's like it answered all the questions where it's like,
I haven't seen that, but that is great, and I do love it.
yes. I'm like, we all need that in our homes.
We very much do. Not enough credit is paid to super titles.
True.
But yeah. Okay, great. Well then, so for anyone who, like me 24 hours ago, had never seen this movie, how does this thing begin?
Okay. So we start the very, very beginning, a year in the future. From
A year in the past.
I mean, a year in the past.
The time scaling in this movie is insane.
Yes.
But so we're a year in the past and we're in Frankenstein's lab.
Yes. So we start at Castle Frankenstein where he's creating the monster, and you see Dracula there being like, you know, work faster. Why isn't this working? He's like, I'm trying the best I can, master. And it turns out Dracula, like, is using him.
Has been funding Frankenstein's research.
Yeah, basically.
And the little kick that I got out of it is the last time I saw a movie with all of or any of the Universal monsters in it, it was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Which really is Abbott and Costello meet Dracula. And just the idea of Dracula and Frankenstein being teamed up, just like, that is the last time I saw them together. And it's like, oh, they're making another one. So it was very fun for me. But it turns out that Dracula is using Dr. Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. And once Frankenstein's monster is created, he doesn't need Dr. Frankenstein anymore. And he's like, all right, cool, we can kill this guy.
Yeah.
And then lightning hits. Igor betrays them.
Yeah.
And Frankenstein's monster is like, what? No, I have to save Dad.
Father, even though we all know if we read the book, that's not their relationship, but okay.
Well, it's a different kind of relationship. Maybe that would have been the relationship if that's what Frankenstein woke up and saw.
I guess. No, you have a good point there.
Like, I mean, to be fair, like, this Frankenstein kind of woke up fully formed, as opposed to the one in the book who kind of had to learn stuff.
That's true.
And then felt betrayed.
I assume that with the operatic voice and the large lexicon that this Frankenstein monster had, it must have had like a very... What's the word I want?
A well-educated brain?
There you go. Stole the words right out of my mouth.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I guess that's not true. I guess the last monster thing that I saw was I watched Creature Commandos.
Oh, I love Creature Commandos.
I did not love it as much as a lot of other people I know. Mm-hmm. And I did not care for the depiction of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, I liked it at first. It was very, very fun. And it was just then that same joke over and over and over again. I'm like, hey, cool. You're real old. You've had time, man.
It's been thousands of years and she's tried to kill you at every corner.
Thousands? Damn.
Yeah.
Hundreds?
No, I think they started in like the 1800s. And
yeah, that's hundreds.
To modern times.
Hundreds?
That's been about
Thousands would have been if this had been in the year 3.
Fair. Semantics.
That's what I'm here for. But yeah, okay. So, Frankenstein betrayal, and then presumably we believe that Dr. Frankenstein and the monster are killed, but because they fall away into darkness and we don't see them hit the ground, movie rule.
Why?
So then we cut to Frankenstein screams why at a crowd of people who are trying to burn down the building that he's hiding in. He's just screaming why, and they're all sad. And then Dracula and the 3 brides of Dracula come out over the horizon, and everyone screams and runs away. So then a year later...
You can't forget, the tower broke from underneath them and they fall into a pit, and then that's the last we see them until the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Or end of Act 2. Yeah.
I would argue the midpoint.
Midpoint? Okay.
Because I feel like Act 3 begins when they get to the Vampire Masquerade.
That's fair.
And, like, we have a whole thing with Frankenstein before that.
Yeah, getting ahead of ourselves.
We are.
Yes.
So we go only 1 year in the future. Just a year.
Yeah. Even though we're transitioning from black and white to color, you would think it'd be more than 1 year later.
One year later. We're in Paris, and it turns out to be Van Helsing is tracking down We think Jack the Ripper. Turns out it's Mr. Hyde.
Yes, a large, monstrous Mr. Hyde.
A combination of the Mr. Hyde from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Shrek.
Which I can't get over how you thought it was the Hunchback of Notre Dame for like a good couple minutes until he appeared.
He climbed into Notre Dame.
Which is very...
He climbed into the bell towers of Notre Dame. An interestingly misshapen man climbed into the bell towers of Notre Dame. Why wouldn't I think that?
Which is very fair, but like you heard just maniacal cackling. As far as we know, the Hunchback is a very sweet, misunderstood boy.
We know how that's in the Disney depiction, but this is a movie I've never seen before. They could be doing anything.
That's fair.
I know that the Hunchback of Notre Dame has been depicted as a much larger, more terrifying presence before. I've seen things where that's the case. Can I cite them? No. But I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I can only cite 2 sources of the Hunchback that I've seen, and that is the Disney film and the musical. In the musical, he's still a sweet, innocent baby boy.
Because it's based off the Disney film?
Is it?
I think so. The Disney film is also a musical.
I mean, like the Broadway one, you know?
Yeah, because Disney's always trying to turn their movies into musicals. They did that with like The Little Mermaid and everything else.
Oh yeah,
The Lion King was like so successful that they're like, well, we got to do that again. Like Aladdin, they did that.
That's fair.
We could look it up, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
That's for the people at home to yell at their podcasters about this.
Mm-hmm. You can Google it.
Yeah. At some point in the future, I'll remember that this exists, and then I will also Google it. But, so, Van Helsing fights Mr. Hyde, wins, knocks Mr. Hyde off of Notre Dame. When he turns back to Dr. Jekyll as he's landing, dies. Curse you, Van Helsing! For some reason. We don't know why.
Yeah, he, for some reason, is known all over Europe as a murderer. Why? Yeah.
Anyway, he goes back to Rome.
Yeah.
And he's doing confession, and the cardinal?
I think so, yeah.
The cardinal he's doing confession to is like, stop fucking up, Van Helsing, but in a PG-13 way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, I would stop fucking up if you would, I don't know, give me more resources and or let the public know that this is a thing, and then maybe people would stop seeing me as a murderer. And he said, haha, no fuck you.
Yep.
In a PG-13 way.
In a PG-13 way.
And then they go underground, and you see all of these different religions working together, creating monster-killing machines.
Yep, it's a real secret society of God.
Yeah.
And it's a real exposition dump of like, boy, Van Helsing, you sure work for a secret society of monster hunters, except you're the only one we'll ever meet.
League of Extraordinary Apostles.
It's League of Extraordinary, there's one Van Helsing.
That's very true.
Yeah. And so basically we then get like the mission of the movie of you have to go kill Dracula. Why? Because the reason Dracula exists is because he was cursed, something he didn't want to die, so he was cursed. But then the guy who was Dracula's dad was also cursed and said no one in his line can go to heaven until Dracula's dead. And there's only 2 members of the family left, so Van Helsing has to go kill Dracula, because if those 2 die, then they can't go to heaven?
Quick correction. So it's, yes, Dracula gets cursed, and they say gypsy, but let's be honest, it's Romani now. The Romani king, who is also a monster hunter, was killed, and when Dracula cursed him, he was like, none of your family can go to heaven until I am dead, or something. And
oh, this is a curse from Dracula.
Yes, or something.
That's short-sighted.
Very.
For a guy who's going to live forever, short-sighted is not the way to be.
Yeah, very. Well, I mean, he thinks he's going to live forever.
It's true.
And so,
every single one of the vampires in this movie is an absolute drama queen.
Yeah, but that's what makes it so much more special.
100%.
If it wasn't for such beautiful lines as, would you like to fly? Yes! I don't think people would like this movie as much.
And lines like, no, everyone fears me, but not my brides.
Or was it, no, I don't have a heart. I'm already dead. Or I'm hollow inside, something like that.
Yeah. Great stuff.
So good.
It's just campy and cheesy as shit in the best possible way. Mm-hmm. Van Helsing gets to Transylvania. The town's not... Oh, and Carl the friar has to go with him because there's a bunch of, like... We have to figure out how to kill Dracula. Mm-hmm. Carl the researcher we'll learn how to do it, and then we'll tell Van Helsing, and Van Helsing will do it.
Yes, or he has or he created the entire arsenal that Van Helsing has, and it's just like, look, I'm here to travel with you and bring these things, or here are all the things that you're gonna need to kill a vampire. And he's like, okay, you're coming with me. And it's like, but I'm not a field man.
Yeah, they do that in James Bond too. It's like, Q, you get to go on this mission, and Q's like, I don't wanna though. It's like, all right, here we go.
But you also forgot the most important part.
Tell me.
That the princess is hot, and Van Helsing was like, humana, I guess I'll go.
That's true. I did miss that point where he turned into a cartoon wolf and howled when he saw the picture of her.
You didn't hear the awooga and see the steam coming out of his ears?
No, but I do remember seeing his eyes getting real big and going towards the screen.
Yeah,
and then him having to stamp his foot to kind of like really work out the emotions.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, I guess I'll do it because it's a pretty princess.
Yeah. So anyway, then he takes off the mask from the movie The Mask.
Exactly.
And
puts it back on the dais. The holy green mask.
I mean, technically, it's a religious artifact. It's from a god.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's Loki's mask.
Oh.
Which is why they have Loki in the second or third movie, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Sorry, nice try, Alan Cummings, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Anyway, go host the Traitors.
I forgot he hosts the Traitors.
Look, we all just want to focus on the fact that he's really, really good in Josie and the Pussycats, but there are also other things.
That's so true.
So Carl has to go with Friar Carl. Everyone talks about him.
Yeah.
So we get to Transylvania, and the town's like, outsiders. How do we know that you're not evil? And Van Helsing's like, well, I suggest you get down. And then the vampire brides attack the town, and he like attacks them, and it's a whole big fight scene.
Mm-hmm. Broad daylight. That's when Do You Like to Fly ad just comes out, and I'm just like, this is where I usually sell people on this film.
It's pretty good. Oh, we did skip something.
Oh,
there's a scene earlier when
the
sister and the brother is tied to a stake, and it's like, oh boy, I sure bet there's a werewolf around here.
Yeah.
And then the werewolf attacks, but it's a trap for the werewolf. Mm-hmm. And the sister and the brother are trapping the werewolf, but then it doesn't work because they only brought one gun with silver bullets because they're stupid.
For some reason.
I think we can consistently say that throughout this movie, that family are idiots.
Yes.
Just the dumb.
We'll get to how they're worse off dumb, but...
Oh, yeah. So it doesn't work. There's a big kerfuffle, and then the werewolf is charging at Kate Beckinsdale. She has another name. Anna Valerius.
Yes, Anna.
Princess Welcome.
Princess, I will show my authority with a very... a slow-mo shot of me pulling out my sword that starts at my ass for some reason. And so werewolf is charging her. Uh-huh. She's about to fire the gun, the silver bullets, but brother shoves her aside, grabs the gun, shoots the werewolf as the werewolf clomps onto him, and they both fall in the river. Yes.
Which means he'll be back. But but then just as one character, werewolf brother.
Yes.
And okay, so we skipped that part. So now it's just sister is left. She's the last living member.
Yes.
Anyway, the vampire ladies are attacking the town, probably to get to her. Who knows? And
that's the assumption.
That's the assumption, but it turns out they're just here to take their 1 or 2 people a month that they take.
Which is odd, apparently, because they don't usually attack during daylight. So that's why we're like, they're probably here for Anna.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a big fight. Van Helsing uses the water from the church, which is bonus holy water, to kill one of them, and everyone freaks out like, you shouldn't oughta have done that. And he's like, what? Of course I should have oughta have done that.
I just killed the thing that was terrorizing you. What do you mean I shouldn't have oughta have done that?
And he's like, well, they only kill 1 or 2, so that's fine. We've come to terms in our town of 75, 76 people to lose 1 or 2 people a month.
That looked like a rough 40.
Yeah, you'll notice there were no children in this town.
Very much so, yeah.
And because that would have extended the hours of the film day and made it a much more expensive production, and it's expensive enough.
We don't need more background actors. Did you see the masquerade scene? That was too many background actors.
I did, but I also saw that some of them were CGI.
Oh.
Specifically the trapeze artists.
Which makes sense.
But yeah. Then it's like, oh boy, they're going to be mad now. You're right. I guess we should go attack them. I don't remember.
No, it was...
Oh, then they go back to her town, her castle.
House. It was, well, now I guess we ought to kill you. And she's like, no, you're Van Helsing. You're gonna help me kill Dracula. And he's like, I mean, that's how I'm here. That's why I'm here. It's like, he needs a drink. And the town is very confused because they're like, but I thought we were going to murderize this man. JK, I guess. And
for a town that's constantly losing people, they were very pro-murderize.
Yeah. I want to blame that Undertaker.
The gravedigger?
Yeah, the weird gravedigger.
I did not recast that, man.
Which you shouldn't. He was only around for the 2 scenes.
Yeah, he was there to rile the folks up.
Yes, and then
die stupidly.
Rile up Van Helsing and then die stupidly.
Well, rile the people up at the beginning too, because he was also he was like the leader of the crowd of people with the pitchforks going after Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah. Oh, yeah!
He was like, yeah, we're going to take down this guy.
So 3 scenes.
So he's like there, and you're like, oh, you're going to be an important character. You're at the head of the crowd.
Yeah.
And then we get to the town, and you're at the head of the crowd. And then Helsing is walking through the town, and he runs into this same guy, and you're like, okay, cool. This guy's going to be a weird, creepy, like, other guy that's also, oh, he's dead now? Why were you here, bud?
Did not need lines.
No, you were doing real character actor stuff.
Yeah. Like, he was giving Crypt Keeper.
This movie's over 2 hours. We didn't need you.
No.
And we're gonna change some things. I'm also gonna suggest cutting the entire opening scene.
I kind of did that too.
Yeah. So anyway, we get past there. We end up like doing a bunch of research in Kate Beckinsdale's house.
It's more of exposition dump as they look at several different weapons, and then he's like, I'm gonna hunt this thing, and she's like, I'm gonna join you. He killed my family. And he goes, no, you're not, and then blows pass-out gas in her face.
He gasses her. She goes to sleep. He abandons her completely unprotected. The castle gets broken into, and then it turns out he didn't go anywhere, neither did Carl, and there's just a werewolf in the castle. Oh, no, it turns out the werewolf is her brother. No!
No, and he has the secret. He has Dracula's secret, but no, the moon reveals itself from behind the clouds, even though it was always there. But he's turning into a werewolf again as he's ripping his skin off as he rides against the wall, which honestly I love.
It was a good werewolf transformation sequence. And it's also very much the version of the werewolf where in order to become the werewolf, you don't grow hair. You tear off the skin and the werewolf is underneath. Like literally rending your own flesh.
Yeah.
Which is a metal as fuck version of werewolves.
Yeah.
So he does that while having climbed up a wall.
No, he climbs up the wall, and then in mid-wall, he starts ripping his skin off.
Full Spider-Man.
Yes.
And then he gets scared off, and Van Helsing tries to kill him, and she's like, no, it's my brother! And he's like,
oh, my brother!
But what if it's not, though? What if it's a werewolf?
It's a fucking werewolf. Don't
tell
and
she's
me what to do.
No! And moral of the story, she's right, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then we get back to the Dracula camping it up and vamping, which I think is where that term's from.
I think, yeah, so werewolf comes back to, no, wait, no, that is after. I was thinking of the scene where they were just walking.
Oh yeah, walking upside down?
No, well, that is the scene where starting to... No, we missed
it. Where the two brides get back and it's like, one of the brides is dead. And he's like, I know, I'm sad about it, but also I don't feel anything. I can always make a new bride. And they're like, do we mean nothing to you? And he's like, not really. I don't know how emotions work. And they're like sad about it. And then he's scary and they're like, you can't be scared of me. You're my brides. And they're like, okay.
And then all the minions come around and so does Igor. It's like, Igor, why do you torture that thing so bad? It's my job. I hurt things. And it's like, okay, we'll do it quieter.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, boss, we could do the thing. And it's like, all right.
And then
I'm going to freeze with my wives into the wall, alluding that this is sexual.
Yes. Apparently, sex for them is being frozen in a block of ice. And you know what? More power to them.
Yeah,
I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum.
It helps them save money by not having a sex coordinator.
Those didn't exist in...
2004.
And we were worse off because they should have.
Yes.
And it's basically like... We're going to be jumping around, but basically Dracula's goal is he and the brides have been making...
Babies,
pods,
egg sex.
That we don't know that. Maybe they're like chickens, and it's like a cloaca thing.
It definitely looks way more reptilian than it does.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of like weird sacs and pods.
Yeah.
Full of weird vampire bat spawn.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't last very long. They don't live. very long. Eventually they just explode. And so really Dracula's goal, the reason why he was so fascinated and obsessed with Frankenstein's monster is because that is taking something away from God, is making life ourselves, something that only God could do before, but now we can do it. Because he keeps trying to make life and it keeps not working.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, what if you got them pregnant the other way?
You know, the traditional route.
Yeah, I mean, not that anyone here is a big fan of tradition, but I feel like that would work better.
I don't know if his 800...
Certainly not as many.
That's true. That it would be a one at a time thing, but you could also get more wives since they are very open to polygamy, obviously.
Clearly. And also, he just wants them. Like, we don't know what his goal of having a bunch of babies are. Like, it'd be interesting if there were only those 3 vampires. But then we get to a house later that's just lousy with vampires for a bit.
Yeah. I still think they came from all over the world, but still.
I think that's probably fair. But either way, we don't... Like, Dracula wants to make all of these Dracula babies. Mm-hmm. But for why?
Because it seems like his furthest reach is Transylvania, so it's like, do you want to just kill off the whole town?
He will kill off the whole town. Let's say his eventual goal is killing off all of humanity. Okay, great. Now you starve to death. What's your goal?
There is none.
Yeah, he just wants to be dramatic and flowy.
Yeah, also he just wants to be an atrocity towards God.
Absolutely. And you know what? I respect that.
Same. I am also an atrocity towards God. Anyway.
That's a fun t-shirt.
Yes.
But, so that's basically the goal of the movie. There's a bunch of fight scenes and back and forth, and, like, eventually in the half of the movie, we fall down into a cave because Van Helsing and Kate Beckinsdale go for a walk.
And, well, no. The babies babies come to life. They attack babies. Dracula and Van Helsing have their first showdown, which is just a, remember me, Gabrielle? And we're just like, what do you mean, Gabriel?
He keeps calling Van Helsing Gabriel because we skipped over this too. Oh. Van Helsing is also Wolverine. 7 years ago, he washed up and had no memory, and now he goes and is like the best killer.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Why 7 years? Make it 40.
That makes more sense.
Like, especially because later we discover that he is in fact the angel Gabriel.
Which makes no sense.
And is stupid. But it's like, hey, he was the angel Gabriel for hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Why did he only just show up to become Van Helsing 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing with, like, because that means that Gabriel was out there for hundreds of years after turning Dracula into Dracula, or after killing Dracula, and then just, like, lived with that. And then, but it's to be implied that, like, doing that act is kind of what warped him and led him to, like, lose his mind, but we never really learned why he lost his... None of that matters. Mm-hmm. We're not doing that.
No. No, we are not.
It's dumb.
Very. But, yes, they have their confrontation, and then they get the hell out of Dodge.
Fall down a hole into a cave.
There you go.
Hey, look, Frankenstein's here. Not the doctor, though.
The monster! How do you call me a monster when all I want to do is live? He does speak like that if you haven't watched the film.
It's, he is, in fact, the best character in the movie.
Oh, indeed.
But basically, like, Dracula wants to find Frankenstein because he wants to plug Frankenstein into the machine so that his babies can not die. Mm-hmm. Frankenstein wants to not be murdered by literally everyone in existence. Yeah. And Van Helsing's like, fair.
Yeah, and but Kate Beckinsale is like, no, we must kill it. It's an abomination. And he's like, but it's a good guy.
Yeah. And I know deep in my chlem whether or not something is good or evil. And this one's not evil.
Yeah.
But we are going to capture it, knock it out, and bring it back to Rome so they can figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they get in a couple of horse-drawn carriages and head out.
Yeah.
And then the horse-drawn carriage that Van Helsing is in gets attacked and destroyed. But turns out it was empty and full of stakes. And it explodes and stakes the main vampire bride. The oldest of the vampire brides. And according to you, the most boring.
Yes. She has no personality in comparison to Eliera and the other one. Mishka?
Alira, Verona, and Mariska.
Mariska, there you go. Yeah, Verona has, like, I think, like, 5 lines in general, and, like, Mariska is, like, would you like to fly? Yes. Eliera is the one that lives for the longest, so we see her more, and she talks more.
And she's also clearly the craziest, but in the best way.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, Verona gets killed by exploding coach, and it turns out that was a fake one, and then Kate Beckinsdale is driving the other one, and they jump into that, and then that one's basically destroyed immediately, too.
Yeah. And then Kate Beckinsdale gets kidnapped.
Frankenstein and Van Helsing make it away, and Van Helsing's like, well, I need to go do this on my own, so I'm going to hide you, Frankenstein, because I'm not going to trade you for Kate Beckinsdale. And Frankenstein's like, what do you mean? Dart! Frankenstein gets knocked out. And then Van Helsing, it's Act 3, goes to Dracula's house.
You missed an important part.
What did I miss?
That after the carriage blows up and he goes to the second decoy carriage, that all of a sudden, oh no, the werewolf brother, he's also here in these woods tracking them down, and then he gets bitten.
Oh, yeah. So we missed that. Van Helsing got bit by the werewolf. We also missed the point where after the vampire babies attacked, Carl was around a lady when she didn't die, so that's why he gets laid. And after he gets laid, he gets to see the thing that gives him the secret of how to beat Dracula, which we'll get to. Mm-hmm. Because that one is silly, and I don't like it, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Act 3, Van Helsing has to break into Dracula's house. It's a big vampire masquerade, but we don't know that. We just know it's a masquerade party. And we're dancing and we're schmooving and we're grooving. And then there's a big movement and we turn and we see a mirror. And the only person visible in the mirror is Kate Beckinsdale.
Yes.
And according to Zach Luna, correctly, best shot in the movie.
It is.
Extremely cool.
So good.
Yeah. So that was very, very fun. And then it turns out they also... Van Helsing's there to save Kate Beckinsdale without trading Frankenstein for her, which is fine. Because Igor found Frankenstein, whatever.
Yeah, they have him anyway, so he gets Kate Beckinsdale out of there, and then it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah, so then Carl, Van Helsing, and Kate Beckinsdale manage to get out. Dracula and the one remaining bride and Igor and Frankenstein get away. Mm-hmm. Dracula has everything he wants. We have to stop him. Bad things are going to happen. Oh no, how do we get to Dracula's house? Well, it turns out the MacGuffin I was given at the beginning of the movie that has the little sigil I have on my ring was the corner of the secret passage that we needed to unlock the mirror door to get through the silver ice to super jump, up B...
portal
wall bomb chew into the corner, doodaloo, we're there.
Yeah, new world unlocked.
Yeah. And then we go we go do some magic stuff and we jump through. Mm-hmm. And basically Carl and Kate Beckinsdale have the goal of, apparently Dracula has a cure to werewolfism. Mm-hmm. So they have to go get that. Van Helsing's goal is to turn into a werewolf and fight Dracula because the secret is only a werewolf can kill Dracula.
Yeah, after midnight on the night of a full moon of some bullshit.
Something.
Yes.
Basically, everyone gets a fight. Kate Beckinsdale fights the last vampire lady. Mm-hmm. Carl fights Igor. And werewolf Van Helsing fights Dracula.
Yes.
They're all going to lose independently until they manage... Kate Beckinsdale's brother dies. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
No one cared.
Yeah, it was fine. But systematically, Frankenstein, Van Helsing gets him loose before fighting Dracula, and then Frankenstein shows up in each of the battles and helps them win because they would have lost without Frankenstein. Again, best character in the movie.
The secret was friendship all along.
That's true. Frankenstein, Van Helsing's like, my friends are going to look for the cure. And he was like, friends?
And when Kate Beckinsdale looked back at him and was like, thank you. And he's like,
I've never been thanked before. I'm going to go make a cereal.
I'm going to call it Frankenberry.
What do you mean Dracula already has one?
And who is this random ghost?
Count Chocula? No! Oh, wait, and a ghost. Boo!
That's why I said, who's this random ghost?
Yeah. I don't know the ghost's name.
Booberry.
Moving on.
Anyway, Booberry comes in and saves the day.
It's true. Booberry was the Deus Ex Machina all along. It's a big moment. Werewolf Van Helsing kills Dracula, but then is still a werewolf.
Yeah.
And attacks Kate Beckinsdale. She manages to cure him, but he hits her really hard and she dies.
Which makes no sense because she's hit harder things at harder velocities throughout
Every
this whole
single
movie.
person in this movie has been ragdolled the entire movie. We don't know why that was the one that did it, but we assume it was more of a cumulative thing.
Maybe, or it was just specifically because she hit a chaise lounge and she couldn't.
Well, now that it's aesthetic.
Yes.
So basically, at the end of the movie, Van Helsing and Carl are the only ones left. Carl lets Frankenstein live, despite the fact that Rome was like, he should probably die, though.
Yeah, this is kind of an abomination to life itself.
But Frankenstein said, I want to live, and Carl was like, chill.
You know what? I think I agree with Van Helsing in this.
Yeah, so Frankenstein does the end of Frankenstein and gets on a little raft and goes away.
Yes.
Carl and Van Helsing don't bring Kate Beckinsdale back to the town that she grew up in and lived in and had friends and family. They burn her there.
No. They take her to a cliffside by the sea because remember, in their little like gallivant walk, she's like, I've always wanted to see the ocean. I bet it's beautiful.
I did not pick up on that when we were watching. That makes sense to me now.
Yes.
Yeah, she never left her hometown.
Yeah.
But she did now by dying. And then because Dracula was dead, we get to see all of their ghosts rise up and go to heaven.
It's beautiful. And then you see one last shot of her big face among the clouds with a single tear rolling down her cheek.
Missed that there was a single tear. All I was focusing on was the Mufasa of it all.
Which is so easy to be distracted by because that was so ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's the movie. That's Van Helsing as it currently exists.
Yes.
So, what are we going to do?
Okay.
Let's take the movie as it exists. What are the things that we think can be cut?
Definitely those 3 introduction portions, which is the... Oh, well...
I think
Actually, no.
I think the Frankenstein one can go. I think Van Helsing fighting a monster should stay. I don't need it to be Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
But I think having an action sequence that establishes who he is before we go back, like starting an action movie with an action sequence makes sense to me. That's the way I tend to start my action movies.
Which is fair. I was going to say rewrite the Frankenstein bit, cut the Jekyll and Hyde bit, or have him fighting a werewolf, and that's how he gets werewolf powers, since we're doing the whole Archangel Gabriel thing, because that was bullshit.
I don't think he needs werewolf powers. Why would he need werewolf powers? Having Dracula only be able to be killed by a werewolf is dumb, and I don't think we should have that.
Which is fair, but this is also obviously trying to shove as many era and regional appropriate universal monsters in one film.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. That's why I think it's... I know you wanted to cut Igor, but that's kind of why I like having Igor, because Igor is our connection, and this movie does something that I find really interesting. Igor is most associated with 2 figures. Either Igor is working for Dr. Frankenstein, or Igor works for Dracula. Like, we think of Igors, like, in fantasy settings as being, like, servants to vampires, despite the fact that we're introduced to Igor as a servant to Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So it's this one character that is both, and I like the idea of Igor being there as, like, this, like, bridge and this kind of hint that Frankenstein's going to be coming later. I also like the idea of Dracula going through and poring over the notes of this Dr. Frankenstein that unfortunately wasn't able to complete his life's work, or so we think.
Yeah.
Because, like, the version of Dracula in this is just a kind of like a theater kid. And, like, this is a guy who's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. He should be very smart.
Yeah. But he is not.
He's not in the movie as it exists. Well, here's the thing. I think he should be very, very smart.
I agree.
But also campy and very silly.
Yes.
Because I think what we talked about, like, everyone who was over watching the movie last night was like, this movie needs to still be silly.
I mean, you can have educated and silly. That's how we got Dr. Frankfurter.
It's true.
Yes.
And I think that's a good example.
So we have a Dr. Frankfurter-esque Dracula.
Yeah.
With or without makeup? I say with.
We'll see. It depends. It depends on the scene. Depends what's required.
Okay.
I think there will be moments for the makeup and moments for without the makeup, and I think that's going to be more interesting.
Gender fluid Dracula.
Yes.
I'm on board. Yep.
It's
sold.
Dracula. Lived for hundreds and hundreds of years. Why not try out every style of life?
That's very true.
Especially considering who I cast.
Oh.
Who is not gender fluid, but that nonetheless.
Can be.
For the purposes of this movie, yes. But, so, I don't know how you did this. Did you, like, go through and write a movie, or what are you thinking?
As I watched, I just wrote down what I wanted to change.
Okay, take me through it.
Okay. Beat by beat?
Sure.
Okay, so how I wanted to do it, I guess, was Helsing gets turned into a werewolf in that first thing, but that's Van Helsing before the amnesia.
Okay.
Right. So you see how it happens, you understand why, and then all of a sudden the amnesia is probably because he doesn't remember how he is during the werewolf fight, and then stumbles upon the Vatican store, and then bada bing, bada boom, he's Van Helsing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Replace the Mr. Hyde fight with that.
Okay. All right. I'm on board with that. So basically, what you're suggesting is that Van Helsing's big secret is that he has been a werewolf this whole time.
Yes.
And as the course of the movie is progressing, this whole adventure takes longer than Van Helsing thought it would, and we are getting closer and closer to the full moon,
Yes.
to the point where the big final confrontation is the night of the full moon, and so we still end up getting werewolf versus Dracula, as God intended.
Except it makes sense this time, and it's not rushed, because we cannot have 3 full moons in a week movie.
Well, we also meet 3 werewolves.
That's true. There's the original werewolf, whom we don't know, but we can also presume is maybe their father.
It was not.
It was not. Then we have the brother werewolf.
The father was killed in the electrocution machine.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a good battery or something.
Conduit, yeah.
And so he was captured by Dracula. Dracula plugged him into the thing and was like, well, this guy didn't work. Toss him aside.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then it's like, oh, maybe you'll last longer because you have werewolf
Because you got
blood.
because you have werewolf venom in your veins.
There you go. That's the line.
Yeah. And so then brother is the werewolf. So we get gray werewolf, brown werewolf, black werewolf.
Yes.
We really only need one werewolf.
Why not make it Van Helsing from the beginning?
I agree. I think that is much more interesting because I think Van Helsing shouldn't be immortal.
Exactly.
But he can have a dark secret, and it's, oh, by the way, I'm a werewolf.
He also shouldn't be an archangel for no reason, but
well, we've cut that. That's not happening anymore.
Exactly. I'm just making that commentary because it's so silly.
It's pretty dumb.
Yes.
There's no point.
No.
Other than this dude is immortal, and when we do the obvious sequels that we're going to get, which, by the way, this movie did not flop as hard as people seem to think it did.
Really?
Yeah. We'll take a sec. How much do you think this movie cost?
I think we went over it last night. I think it was 140 million?
160 million.
60 million. I was off by 20.
And what do you think the worldwide gross for this movie was?
If you're saying it didn't flop as hard as it did, then maybe 195 mil?
Well, in the US and Canada, it made $120 million.
Oh.
Worldwide, $300 million.
Okay.
So I would argue, now to be fair, they advertised the heck out of this.
Really?
So I don't think that, because the standard thing is like, well, you take the budget and double it, and that's the budget with advertising. I don't think it's $160 million worth of advertising, but it was a lot of advertising. But, like, let's say only $100 million of advertising, there's still profit there.
Yeah.
Like, not enough to warrant a sequel. I will give you that.
Broke even at the very least.
Yeah. 2004 money, 160 is a lot of dollars. 160 million is a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you. Don't make a sequel. But I also don't think this is a career killer. And I don't think it was a career killer for anybody.
No, obviously not. It's Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsdale.
Yeah, I mean, Steven Sommers, the writer and director, also went on to G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra.
Ah.
That was a career killer. So the important thing, but like, the whole, like, because we were talking last night, like, this dude made The Mummy, and this was kind of his blank check. Hey, go do The Mummy again, but different.
Yeah.
He didn't lose money, really. Not worldwide.
No.
So,
At least.
hard to say.
Indeed.
Anyway, we don't need Gabriel.
We don't need Gabriel, so he's werewolf from beginning, hired by the Vatican, bada bing, bada boom.
Oh, the thing I was going to say is, like, there was no sequel, because, like, oh, if he's immortal, you can put him in any time period, and that way you can bring him forward in the future. That was the thing I was leaning towards. Sorry, continue.
You know what? That would have been good.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see...
1950s Van Helsing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been nice. Anyway. In my version, at the very least, I replaced Igor with the good doctor.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And, well, in a sense, I kind of also replaced Frankenstein to an extent. Give me a minute.
You've got my attention.
So, in that opening scene, they do, in fact, accidentally kill Frankenstein's monster. As they're trying to,
Or so they think.
Or so they think. Well, no. In this introduction bit, they kill off what they have as the current monster.
Okay.
And Dracula's pissed, obviously, because it's like, but the key to life for my babies.
Yeah.
And it's like, you will work for me till the end of time till you get this right. And so he turns the doctor.
Oh, okay.
kidnaps the doctor, takes him back to his palace to serve for eternity, basically. Fast forward to the year in the future. Everything kind of goes off similar.
Yeah. So here's my pitch based on what you're saying. We need a goal for Dracula that isn't just, I want to poop out hundreds of babies.
That's fair.
Because that doesn't seem like his vibe.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe for the Dracula that we get in this movie is he wants to live forever. He hates that he's going to live forever, but he'll be damned if he's going to fucking die. So, like...
I'm not going to let anyone kill me if I can't even kill me, so fuck you all.
But, like, he also recognizes that as a vampire, as Dracula even, there is, like, despite the fact that he has lived for hundreds of years, there is still the possibility that he could die. So he's looking for a way to become immortal that can't die. And so I think that's why you reach out to a Dr. Frankenstein, because you're making a different and new form of immortality. Which hilariously is a lot of the plot of the TV show Doom Patrol, but that's but whatever.
That's another podcast for another time.
I think it's Doom Patrol Radio.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
anyway.
But like but I think that should be his goal. Like, I don't think it is worthwhile or anything for him to be, like, making a bunch of babies. I think that's dumb.
Yeah.
But, like, his whole raison d'etre, which is the term he would use because he's campy as hell,
yes,
is living forever. To defy God and never enter death.
That's true.
And so that's why he wants Frankenstein and all these different things. So that he can... So his life can be a bacchanal that never needs to end.
That's fair. Okay.
And so that's why he has the vampire ladies and this and that, because he's like, well, I'm going to live forever and I may as well make life worth living.
Yeah. And then insert the harem. Harem is sexy.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, that's better. That's a better goal for him than, my babies.
But I also like the idea of him turning Dr. Frankenstein into a vampire, because it's like, oh, well, you fucked up this trial run.
Yeah.
And I can see that part of the reason you fucked it up is because you're starting to get a little bit older, good doctor.
Yeah.
We can't have that. I can't have you getting any older. But I also can't have you leaving my service.
Oh, the precious feeble human mind. How about we not make it human anymore?
Well, it's not the human mind. I think he's worried about the feebleness of the human body.
Oh, that's fair. Well, no, the mind can go as well.
That's true.
Dementia is a sad thing.
But I like the idea of him building the perfect body, and like as one piece goes, he can replace it with another, to the point where his goal is to have like the Frankenstein like immortal body that he then gets to put his brain and like magic and bat stuff into.
Yes.
And I think the trade-off is he won't be able to turn into a bat anymore, but he'll instead get to live forever, and that feels like a pretty good deal.
Yes.
So he will have no weaknesses.
No weaknesses, thus he keeps Dr. Frankenstein alive.
Yes, I like that.
Yes. Okay.
So Van Helsing's the werewolf. Dracula wants to be a Frankenstein. All we're missing are ghosts and mummies.
Very true. And fishmen.
And Creatures from the Black Lagoon.
Yes, yes.
Which I wrote a movie that's called The Horrors, which is very similar to things that we're doing. It's wildly different from what we're doing, but like, I can't tell you what I do with my Creature from the Black Lagoon in that movie. But now I want to so bad. I might cut this. Anyway. For our purposes, the moat around Dracula's castle is full of Creatures from the Black Lagoon. That's what we do. It's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'll be the thing. They go through the mirror, and then they have to cross a bridge, and then all of a sudden fishmen pop out.
Yeah.
There you go.
And all of the vampire masquerade, it's vampires and ghosts.
Yeah, there you go.
It's because that's the other thing is like Dracula is like a ghost also exists forever but doesn't live forever, and so they don't get to experience all of the joys of life.
Exactly.
So while a ghost is around forever, that's not really living. I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. I do not want to be separated from my corporeal form.
That's where all the fun things that I do too are.
Yeah. What?
That's the thing that I do all of the fun stuff to. My corporeal form.
And with?
Sure. Okay, what else happens?
Anyway, we fast forward. Helsing goes to the Vatican. Vatican gives him assignment. Friar comes with, and then whatever.
His name has a name. It's Carl.
Carl, okay. I just put him down as friar. But I'm a friar, I'm not a monk. He keeps saying that.
Keeps saying that as if it matters.
Yeah. I don't...
It does. Like, fundamentally, like, Monks, vows of chastity, vows of whatever. Friars, no.
No. They can bang random Transylvanian women if they want to.
They just travel around preaching about God and shit.
Exactly. And here he is.
Yep, preaching about God and shit.
Preaching about God and shit. Anyway, so they get to the town, completely cut the werewolf scene from the beginning. Because if we're not going to include a werewolf, we don't need that. Maybe we can have them hunting something else. Or trying to track down... Instead of them being out in the forest very unarmed for the circumstance, maybe you see them in the castle and they're plotting to find Dracula. Or something around those lines. Something that wasn't what we got.
Yeah. Basically, like, the whole purpose of this town is surviving and killing Dracula.
Yes.
And so they believe that a way to weaken Dracula is to take down one of the brides. They say the bride. So we think that there's just one. And so it's this whole big action sequence where it's this big fight scene and the brother, maybe not mortally wounded, but definitely taken out of the game. Mm-hmm. And then we find out that there isn't just one bride. There's 3. Oh shit, that's a lot scarier. Everybody run. A bunch of them get killed. Kate Beckinsdale and the brother get away. Kate Beckinsdale's a name. Anna. Anna and Velkin.
Can I propose that the brother actually gets kidnapped by one of the brides?
Sure. But for what?
To become the new test experiment for the doctor.
Ooh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
So, where I had it is where fight scene happens. Brother gets kidnapped by one of the brides. Taken to the castle. In the scene where the brother breaks into the house and goes all werewolf, instead, obviously we were both yesterday like, why is she so dumb? Why aren't there booby traps?
Yeah. The entire house should be a series of booby traps, and that's why they're not constantly being attacked in their own home.
Yeah, exactly. But that wasn't the case, weirdly enough. And for some reason, there wasn't even weapons on every single wall, which you'd think they would be.
Yep.
But there was not. But I propose, instead of the brother coming in, it's Eliera that gets, like, captured in one of the booby traps.
Ooh, okay.
And she's like, I have a memento for you, princess, something that you might recognize. And it's like a body part of his, maybe like his hair or like a finger or something, to be like, we have him and we're taking him apart. We're hurting him. Ooh.
Yeah, well, if you do the finger, there should be a ring with the family crest on the... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. That works for me. I also like the idea of when Van Helsing gets to the town. I want Anna to be better at this than Van Helsing.
Yeah, because isn't it her whole family purpose? She looks like 35, too. Shouldn't she be way more well-trained?
Yes. Well, so the line that I had in my head, if I was writing this, is like, Van Helsing comes to town and is like, well, I mean, surely you've heard of the great things I've done. And Anna goes, yeah, I have heard of those. And then I hear about how you go back to Rome and have a rest. We never stop. This is everything. This is our entire day. We don't get a break. We don't get to go back to Rome. This is how we live our entire lives.
Yes.
We're better at this than you. This child who's 7 years old is better at this than you. And I think that might be true. It's an entire town full of Van Helsings, and they're having a hard time taking down the Draculas.
Yeah.
And that's why Van Helsing's like, oh, okay, you're right. This is going to be hard.
Yeah. Adds a higher level of difficulty. I like that.
Higher level of difficulty, and also I want to constantly be impressed, and like that's why Van Helsing is falling in love with Anna, is like, oh my god, how could this is the most badass person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Humana, a wooga, stamping the foot, a woo, etc.
Boing.
Boy, you can't forget boing.
You know,
that's
yeah.
Ba-dum.
Very crude. Woo! Out the ears.
The whole Megillah.
Looney Tunes, the whole thing.
Oh, man. Carl, why'd you bring this mask? I thought it'd be useful, sir. All right, so what happens next?
He puts on a yellow suit and hat.
Well, at the end of the day, somebody stop him.
Somebody stop me. Anyway, we're getting too into the mask bit. So Elietta gets captured. She's just like, look what I have. He. I have your brother. And they're like, what are you doing with my brother? And she's like, you'll never find out. You know?
Ooh, I'm going to plus that up a little bit. They're captured and she's in like a silver cage.
Yes.
And like they get captured and they figure out that they can torture her and figure out ways to get her to speak. And she's like, oh no, you can do that. Or this. And she grabs hold on up to the silver cage and kills herself. She immolates herself within the silver cage, and she's like, well, you're not going to get any information out of me. Ooh. Good luck finding your brother now. Because now they're going to be even madder.
Stakes.
Because, like, yes, correct, they stake her. And so, like, it's just this extra of, like, we couldn't kill her. We were lucky to capture her.
Yeah.
And now we lost that one advantage we have. Because, I don't know if you know this, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And
absolutely psychotic.
And so, like, that extra element.
Actually, I'll propose it's the brunette. Well, I want to kill him off in the order because I do like Elietta's presence in the film.
We'll see what happens when we get to casting. You can shuffle them up as you see fit.
Fair enough. Anyway, so immolates herself, and they're like, ah, shit. What do we do now?
Right, Carl gets studying.
Yes. And Carl actually does something in this film other than be a coward and bang chicks.
Yeah, in my version for Carl is it goes back and forth, like, absolutely a coward, have to fight, can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also is the brains and not stumbles upon extremely important information post-coitus and is like, look, I found the way how to finish this movie.
Yes. Like, very much the, like, y'all have been doing this for so long that you've stacked knowledge on knowledge on knowledge that the knowledge at the base is gone. So I'm going to re-uncover that base to see what you had, why you're wearing all this silver, or why the silver works, this, that, the other thing. And it's because the silver is representative of the moon. And so it's the moon that's the real threat.
Yes.
Oh, the moon is the real threat. And what is a creature of the moon?
A werewolf.
And then he just looks at Van Helsing, and Van Helsing's like, no. And he's like, but, and he's like, I don't want her to know. I have to be dramatic about it.
She'll never know my secret. No one can ever know my secret.
But, like, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's why silver can hurt, but it can't kill.
Yes.
And if we want to do that, if we want it to be werewolf versus vampire, which I do think we want, that's what we can do. And that, like, we can moon it up.
Yes, moon it the fuck up.
Yeah, we can go really Innistrad with this whole thing.
Oh, yes.
That's a joke for some 7 people who are listening, and thank you for listening.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, you can capture all sorts of Cthulhus in the moon.
Yeah.
Just as long as you are yourself a moon folk. I will keep going, but I won't.
Gotta stop you somehow. We gotta get to the end of this film
somehow.
Yeah,
you'll tap for colorless mana.
There you go.
So basically, like, that's kind of the idea of, like, it's like Act 1 is we get to the town, and the Act 1 is basically about, like, capturing this vampire bride, and then she kills herself. So then we get to the end of Act 1, and it's like, oh, we thought we had something, now we have nothing.
Exactly.
Act 2 is research, and at the midpoint, we are going to find Frankenstein's monster. Because I like Frankenstein's monster, and I think that's silly.
Okay. All right. Okay, so he stays alive from the beginning.
Well, he stays alive, but like deeply disabled. Like because like the whole purpose of what we're doing with Dracula is like he's making a truly immortal body.
Yes.
And he thought it failed, but it didn't.
So they fly away from Frankenstein's castle post turning the doctor, but you see like a spark in his bolts before fade to Van Helsing going.
You don't even need to see that. You can see the castle burning down, and it's this whole big dramatic scene, and then the rubble gets struck by lightning.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, and now I'm stealing from my own movie, like, Frankenstein's basically just a big C-volt battery.
That's very true.
So, like, you hit him with more electricity, he's back up.
There you go.
And so, like, that's kind of the thing that he says, and so, it's like, I don't know, but we got to give ourselves a way to discover... Like, because Act 2 is going to be all about trying something that's not going to work, but they get Frankenstein out of it. So it needs to be, well, one of the brides is down, they're going to be mourning. Also, it's the middle of the day. Let's attack them in the middle of the day when they're the weakest.
Okay.
Because it'd be fun to have a horror movie during the day.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're attacking during the day. They go for it. It fails. They lose. because, it's this doctor in a lab coat and everything, and then he's also a vampire and he attacks them.
Yes.
It's all the different things. They're way outmatched, outclassed. They get knocked out, but they manage to get away by hiding in a cave. And wouldn't you know it, who else is hiding in a cave? Frankenstein. Frankenstein, this person who's been studying everything because he's got nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And he's the one who goes back with them to the castle because he has the key to help Carl actually translate some of the old Latin, which is even older than the stuff that Carl knows.
Ah, genius.
So that way we give Frankenstein a reason to be around, and he gets to work with Carl. They're best friends. Buddy cop movie. Forget everything else we're doing.
We're the three best friends that anyone could have.
Correct.
By the end of the movie.
And so that's our Act 2.
Yes.
Now we get to the end of Act 2 is we have all of that, and then I guess Anna has to be captured. Someone has to be captured.
We have to have the ball scene somehow because it's too good to.
That's Act 3.
Yeah,
because
I know.
I don't think we need to go through a magic glass mirror. No. I think we should just Act 3 is the Vampire Masquerade.
How about this?
And please.
How about this? They figure out somehow, maybe through some old text or something, that it's like a special vampire holiday or something in in this moon cycle, and they're like, that's tomorrow or whatever, as they usually do in film, discover this ancient vampiric holiday, and they're like, why? Well, we think Dracula's has to be doing something for that day, and then they sneak into the castle, and then Bob's your uncle, there's a masquerade.
I think we can do that. I want to make it sadder and creepier.
Ooh, okay. Listening.
My version is they're kind of sneaking to the castle because, hey, we know everyone that's there. Mm-hmm. We know that it's the two remaining brides, Dr. Frankenstein.
At this point, there's one.
What?
Because in the beginning, didn't we?
We killed one. There's two left.
Yeah, and then in the silver cage, one immolated themselves.
They failed at the beginning. They didn't kill the one at the beginning.
You're right. My bad.
So just the one in the silver cage. So there's the two left. Mm-hmm. Dr. Frankenstein, Dracula. That's only 4, and now they are also 4. They can go down to the castle and basically systematically take them out. If it's 4-on-1, 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 Dracula's the only one left. They can do it.
Yeah.
They get to the castle and they realize that the castle is full of a vampire masquerade. Mm-hmm. And it must be a special event. He must be celebrating. And then Frankenstein says, no, they're never not doing this.
Oh.
Because Dracula lives forever. It's an endless bacchanal. It's a party that never stops. Everyone that he likes and admires in some way, he turns into a vampire. And it is, to quote Slurms Mackenzie, they have to party nonstop. It's a nonstop party forever.
Oh.
So it is both a torture because this is all they are and all they can do because they're immortal and living forever. But all they are is fulfilling the wishes of Dracula, which is, I'm going to live forever and I'm going to enjoy it. It's a party that never stops.
I like that so much. Oh my god, that's so good.
Like I said, it's creepier, but also sadder.
Yes, and it's not just frivolous expense for the sake of frivolous expense.
To the point where all of these vampires will fight back because they don't want to die. Mm-hmm. But when they start killing some of them are going to be like,
wait a minute.
And it's you get to see this moment of pure ecstasy of I'm finally free as they're dying. Mm. But now they're getting attacked more because the rest of them want to die.
Yeah.
Because they can't kill each other. They don't know how. But these guys do.
Yeah.
And they're just getting swarmed even oh my god, killing them oh my, we have to kill even more.
World War Z onslaught, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Very much so. To the point where that's when we finally get the holy hand grenade that Carl had at the beginning of the movie. He sets it off, yes. And that's what wipes out the party. Mm-hmm. And then Dracula's even madder because he's like, the party was never supposed to end.
You killed all of my playthings.
My party can never end. I'll just have to make a new party. And then just
descend,
and oh no, big climactic conclusion. Slowly start taking out everybody, but then we realize that time has taken longer than we needed it to happen. Oh no, Van Helsing's big secret. He's a werewolf, and he's fighting everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
Which means that Anna, Frankenstein, Carl, the now one remaining bride, because let's say one of them died, and Dracula are now 5-on-1 fighting Van Helsing.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
And they're, like, fighting each other, but then all of them fighting because, like this giant werewolf, this Van Helsing werewolf, is stronger than all of them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And will kill all of them, and none of them want to die.
It's blind rage.
And so they have to figure out a way to both, like, do that and, like, do these different things. And so the third wife is going to die when Dracula's about to take a blow, but he drags the third wife to take the blow on his behalf.
Ooh, scumbag. Like that. Yeah, perfect.
And then finally the blow to Dracula is going to be when Frankenstein, like, puts his arms around him and has them both get taken out at once. I'm sorry, Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein, okay.
Because now that he sees that the other Frankenstein is there, he's like, oh no, Dracula's plan's going to work.
Oh shit, yeah.
I can't let that happen. I'm going to kill us both. And so now neither of us get to be immortal, but at least this guy doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then after that, then it's just Frankenstein's monster, Carl, Anna, and Van Helsing left. And Anna can sacrifice herself to do something, to, like, silver stake him, do whatever. And it turns out it doesn't kill him, which is what they worried would happen. It saves him, but in doing so, it did kill her.
Yeah. But this time way more brutal than being launched into a chaise lounge.
Correct.
Maybe like a deep slash across the chest.
Oh yeah, she has got to be bloody.
Bleeding out actively as he's crying over her body. It's just like, please forgive me.
I can't stop loving you.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
So that I feel like is a big climactic ending. What did I miss from your walkthrough? Or what have we not talked about from yours?
I think we covered basically everything.
Then,
but you also did some things way better.
I've done this a bunch.
Which, yeah, this is your show.
So then, let's ask this. What are we missing from our movie that you would just like to have in here?
Oh, you know what we didn't cover? We didn't finish the plot line of the brothers kidnapping.
Oh, yeah.
So, brother gets kidnapped, and we have a whole scene where they're basically seeing if using the base of a still living body.
Well, that's also when they go back, that they attack during the day to go rescue the brother.
Oh, okay.
That's another reason why they go. Continue.
There you go.
Using a base of a still living body to do Frankenstein shit.
To do Frankenstein shit, so you see them piecemealing him with different parts.
Yeah. And then we can see that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So then when they go back to the Vampire Masquerade, we can see that he is in fact the main course. Yeah. And unfortunately, we're now on to dessert.
Yeah.
So they did not make it in time.
No. R.I.P. in peace, I guess.
R.I.P. in peace. Good
yes.
memory for calling that out. Mm-hmm. I am going to change on my casting where I wrote Igor and make that Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah. Because, I understand why you wanted to keep him in, but in this
case...
No,
your version's better.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Instead of it being this, throwaway, he's the guy who has all the information. Okay? And? He's the guy with all the information. Let's keep that one around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah, fully on board.
Also, the fact that in the actual movie where Igor's we are not as smart as the good doctor, it's okay, then why'd you kill the good doctor, was my first thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. Okay, good. Are we missing anything else, or should we get into casting?
I think that covers it.
All right.
Honestly, I think that works super well.
Hell yeah. Let's make this goddamn movie.
Let's make this goddamn movie.
Let's talk about casting. Now, you warned me that is the thing that you forgot to do.
Yes, sadly, because in comparison to the rest of our friends, I'm not much of a film fanatic, so I don't have a bunch of actors, Rolodexed in my mind, so I couldn't really think of anything. Truly, I would, if I had the choice, keep the original casting, except, I guess for Igor... in this sense.
I mean, they're all 20 years older at this point.
Yeah, but hypothetically, if we were still making this back in 2004, regardless.
We're not. So let me take you through who we have.
Okay.
I feel like I'm pretty happy with just about everyone here. Mm-hmm. Van Helsing was the one that I had the hardest time.
Okay, which is understandable.
So because I wanted someone who is not distracting like Hugh Jackman, but also can be fun and interesting. And also, Hugh Jackman fundamentally at his core is a song and dance man.
That is true.
And I find it funnier if our Van Helsing isn't and is having to have that kind of vibe going into a society that's just that.
Okay.
So the actor that I got is named Joel Fry.
Joel Fry.
He plays Jasper in Cruella. He's one of the fighter guys in Game of Thrones. And he's also one of the pirates in Our Flag Means Death.
Oh, I think you brought him up last night.
I did not.
Well, his face looks familiar.
I'm sure it does. He was one of the last ones I found. So, like, every single person on this list I did not have last night when we watched the movie.
That's fair.
So he's the person I thought would be, like, really fun of, like, okay. He's definitely done action stuff and action sequences. He's not as instantly charismatic and attractive as Hugh Jackman. Mm-hmm. But I was worried that in trying to, like, do the new Hugh Jackman, it would just be someone who's a pale imitation of Hugh Jackman. Because, like, it's hard to replace Hugh Jackman.
It's true.
That's why he's been Wolverine for 30 years.
And they will not let him die.
And they will not let him die.
But I agree, just seeing his face, he has a gruffness to him that could, like, I guess if cleaned up a bit, could be a good...
He is very good at playing the straight man surrounded by crazies.
Got it.
And for our purposes, that might make sense for Van Helsing. But this was also the one that I was like, if we find someone else for this role, I'm not heartbroken about it.
Okay.
So we can certainly come back to Van Helsing. Let me take you through who I have for the rest.
All right.
So for my Anna Valerius, I wanted someone big and strong, but also charming and gorgeous. And someone who is very much trying to step into the action world. And it didn't necessarily work in her first appearance, but I really enjoyed it and really enjoyed the show. And I think she would be really good at this if we give her the training. Because I feel like Jamila Jamil could really do this character, especially because we're not casting someone who's 25. We're casting someone, I think she's my age or 1 year younger.
Yeah.
So she's someone in her mid-30s, and it's like...
She's 39, actually.
39, excuse me. Oh, that's right. Joel Fry is my age. Jamila Jamil is a couple years older.
Okay.
And, like, that one was... Oh, no. You think you've been doing this? I've been doing this for nearly 40 years. Like, I will kill monsters. Are you kidding me?
She also has that perfect, like, ethnic face that we're looking for, but no, they put a white woman there.
Right. Well, I'll get to that because, well, since she's Pakistani, or Pakistani in heritage, that means I needed a Pakistani guy to play her brother.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I cast this gentleman who was in Deli Boys, and he's also the older brother on Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
His name is Sagar Shaikh.
Oh, okay.
And he's very fun and very charming in Ms. Marvel. I don't know that he is leading man quality, but that's why he's the brother, because he's like, hey, he's a good, nice guy. We like him, and that's why we care if he gets in trouble and sort of killed. Murderized a little bit.
Oh, no. He's handsome. I feel bad for murderizing him.
Well, here's the thing. Because our brother and sister are Pakistani, and Dracula is their ancestor, their long ago ancestor of hundreds of years.
Okay.
We need someone from the same sort of region of the world, and perhaps the same similar sort of accent.
Okay.
So I went with an actor who's in Midnight Mass, Fall of the House of Usher, but I first saw him in iZombie. And I went with Rahul Kohli.
Ooh.
Because I think Rahul Kohli can carry himself like Dracula, but also get very silly and very dramatic and theatery.
Yeah, and then we can also put him in some makeup.
And I think he'd be someone who'd be very down to go back and forth between a vampire type to a vampire type.
Yeah.
And, like, absolutely do the gender fluid thing.
Yeah.
Because there's the Rahul Kohli with the full beard, and then there's the completely clean-shaven Rahul Kohli.
True.
And he is a man who can do both.
Oh, 100%. Oh, if Dracula's just the guy, he's like, I'm feeling very masculine today. Grows beard. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of, yeah.
It's just like, oh, but I feel like a dress today, and then just makeup. That would be very interesting, especially with a man, like, you're so right, full beard, he looks very much like...
Yeah, and, like, none of them are Eastern European, but, like, fuck that.
Fuck it, yeah.
Let's have a little bit more fun and make it more interesting.
Yeah.
So Rahul Kohli as Dracula, I was talking about this with Zach last night, and he was like, what about Pedro Pascal? I'm like, he's definitely the song and dance man. Like, he's got the right vibe. Yeah. But there's also, like, the Pedro Pascal's and everything right now. And just, like, as I was going through, because Jamila Jamil I had first, and, like, just having everyone kind of fall into place after that, it was like, oh, Rahul Kohli would be really, really good.
That's true.
And also, he's a big ol' nerd. And that's necessary.
Very much so, especially if you want the same kind of theater kid essence.
Yes.
Yes.
So that brings me to Carl.
Okay.
Carl, we kind of need nebbishy energy. And as long as we're living in this kind of world, William Jackson Harper.
William Jackson Harper.
Chidi from The Good Place.
Oh.
He's also in Midsommar and done other things. But, like, you bring that kind of Chidi energy to Carl, it's kind of a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
But because it's the back and forth of, like, he's a friar, he, like, is Chidi most of the time. It's like, oh, a fight is about to happen? Okay, I'm William Jackson Harper again. And he can, like, go back and forth. Because William Jackson Harper, A, jacked as shit. And B, like can do more than just Chidi. He just happens to do Chidi very, very well. And is also, like, very cool and interesting. And I thought he'd be a good kind of, like, friar character.
I mean, yeah, he could do both. He could definitely do both, which, yeah, so far you're getting these castings spot on.
Well, you're going to like my Frankenstein.
Oh, I'm
Not
sorry.
my Dr. Frankenstein, my Frankenstein's monster.
Okay.
So, this one was an easy one where I was like, well, I can just make it David Harbour. Everyone would make this David Harbour. David Harbour's the easy choice.
Okay.
So I didn't make it David Harbour.
Of course.
I did write that down. David Harbour's also the voice of Frankenstein in Creature Commandos.
Ah, yeah.
And, like, he's the person you think of. He's your first thought. I'm like, well, if that's my first thought, let me reach out to my friend Cam. My friend who knows wrestlers.
Ooh.
And he gave me a list.
Okay.
And from the list, I decided on a wrestler named William Hobson, a.k.a. Powerhouse Hobbs.
Powerhouse Hobbs.
Large guy, but not afraid to get silly. And that seemed right and fun for this character.
Oh, he's on AEW. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's jacked.
Well, yeah, if you're going to build a man from scratch, why not make him jacked?
That's very true.
And for you, I was like, well, if we're going to have Frankenstein's monster, it should probably be someone with the proportions of a professional wrestler.
Yes, and for those at home who don't know, I love professional wrestling. So much. So I appreciate this. This is great.
Good.
Love. All right. That
brings me to the 3 brides.
All right.
And I'm going to give you all 3 of them because, like, they can be somewhat interchangeable, and I'm going to have you assign them which one they're going to be.
Okay.
So, I have Ashley Park from Joyride, Emily in Paris, Only Murders in the Building. I really only know her from Joyride.
Okay. Oh, she's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, Ashley Park. I have Margaret Qualley from The Substance.
Ooh, okay.
Good vampire energy from her.
Yeah.
And then, in my head, the Verona one is Ana de Armas.
Ooh.
Because, like, she also has vampire energy. And so, 3 very different kinds of performers, but also 3 very attractive women, and 3 people who absolutely could, like, form a harem and be creepy and, like, all sorts of, like, 3 kinds of witchy with each other.
Yeah, okay.
So, my suggestion is Ana de Armas as Verona, but because they're immortal, any one of them could be. So which one do you think should be which? Which one should be the crazy one in the silver cage who self-immolates?
I think Ana de Armas might actually work more as an Eliera type.
Okay.
Because she can have that crazy eye twitch with a smile energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you had... She's gorgeous, but I can already picture in my head just kind of like a twisted smile of "you won't take me alive, fuckers," as she pulls herself in.
Yeah.
Like, front shot to the camera as her face gets closer right there.
And
like,
you watch everything around her melt, and then all that's left is the smile.
Exactly. Like, I can see it perfectly.
Great. Okay, Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas as Eliera.
Yeah. And then we have Verona and Mariska.
I say Margaret Qualley as Verona and Mariska be Amy.
Amy?
Or Amy be Mariska. Or...
We have Ashley Park.
Ashley, sorry. My bad.
So Mariska is...
Ashley Park.
Mariska is Ashley Park.
Yes.
You got it. We already did Velkin, so the only character I have left is Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Now remember, I cast this character when I thought it was Igor. So that's why I gender swapped it.
Ooh, okay.
And so I'm perfectly okay with leaving it this way, because this was my perception of Igor, but I think will work just as well as being Dr. Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. Doctor is gender neutral.
That's very true.
And so I cast an actress named Betsy Sodaro.
Betsy Sodaro.
So in terms of her on-screen performances, I'm familiar with her. I'm probably most familiar with her from Ghosts.
Okay.
But I've also seen her do improv and sketch, and she is very, very, very funny. But she is almost the definition of a character actress.
Got it. All right.
She's great. She's funny. She's weird. And to have her be Dr. Frankenstein, creating the perfect body and the perfect man, is also extremely funny.
That would be hilarious, actually, just as a little comedic bit to be like, ooh, have the arms of a farm worker.
Yeah.
And the legs of someone who herds cattle.
And then the ass of someone who has a really nice ass.
Yes.
Like, something like that. Like, that's just funny.
Yeah.
And I think she'd be great. And you have that, like, because it's an Igor Dr. Frankenstein, like, weirdo character. And then to, at the end, have her be the one that grabs on a Dracula and that's why they die. Like, the joke character is the one that, like, kind of saves the day and kills and, like, does all of that. That's pretty cool.
That would be really cool, actually, yeah.
So Betsy Sodaro for Dr. Frankenstein.
Agreed.
So then, are we cool with Joel Fry being our Van Helsing, or do you want to see if we can come up with someone else? Because, like, my impetus is, like, you can go through and grab any one of the Marvel actors or whatever, but,
Which
like,
is true.
moving one of the Marvel actors over from a Marvel into the lead of another action movie kind of feels easy. So that's why I was like, let me try doing something a little bit more difficult. But we've already cast the rest of this movie. We can do whoever we can do whoever we want. We can use whoever we want.
So for some reason, my brain thought Ram Charan from RRR.
That's a choice. I don't know how good his English is.
I think he has. I don't know.
And here's the thing. I think that that's true. I feel like if we were going with more people in their family, he'd be the perfect choice.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have a lot of South Asian.
Yeah.
Maybe not another one. I think he's great. His movie was very funny, and it turns out a lot of propaganda.
Yeah.
But the important thing is,
true.
Do you remember the end of the movie?
That's very true, yeah.
It was very pro-government. Yeah, that's it's the end of a 3-hour movie. By the way, our government's really good.
It's pro-India.
Pro-Indian government.
Yeah, pro-Indian, not pro-English government.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really enjoy that movie.
Yes.
The end of it's very strange.
Yeah.
So,
don't get me started. I love RRR. Anyway.
It's great. If only we had 3.5 hours to put aside for another movie night.
Oh, if only. You know what? I will trust your judgment there. And we'll go with your pick.
Joel Fry.
Because
all right.
You know what? He looks like he can play the part.
And we have so much other star power in this.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't necessarily, but whatever. It's the ideal remake. We don't need. We're just going to make a good movie, and that'll be what makes everyone talk about it. Because fundamentally, this is a cult classic regardless.
Yeah, 100%.
And when I say cult, I mean cult. But that brings me to writer and director.
Writer and director.
So I went with more comedy in my director, because that way that finds the jokes, but like action-y and passionate in my writing. So my writer, she wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
She wrote Saving Mr. Banks.
Okay.
She wrote Cruella.
Uh-huh.
And she wrote all 3 Venom movies.
Okay.
Right. I know. That's nuts. Like, that portfolio, and she's done so many other things. But
very
like,
diverse, yeah.
Her name is Kelly Marcel. But like, fundamentally, you get the heat of 50 Shades of Grey, the earnestness of Saving Mr. Banks, and the weird monsters of the Venom movies.
Not only that, the weird comedy of the Venom movies.
And the weird comedy of the Venom movies. And then the style of Cruella. That is this movie.
That is very true.
And so as the writer, I thought Kelly Marcel would kind of be great.
Perfect, yeah.
Like, when I was like, oh, who wrote this? And she wrote, what the... Okay, sure.
You know what?
Great.
Bullseye.
Yeah. And then my director is the director. He worked on SNL. He is the director for the new Naked Gun movie. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it either.
But he also wrote the Lego movie. And he wrote Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
I haven't heard of that one, but okay.
You've never seen Pop... Ooh, okay. New movie night. Ooh,
okay, so that one gets put on the list.
It's so good. It's one of the best... It's great. We're going to watch that. You're going to love it. But
All right.
Akiva Schaffer
Akiva Schaffer.
is this director's name.
Okay.
He's great.
Got it.
Okay, so that is Van Helsing. Let me take you through our cast. Mm-hmm. Van Helsing will be played by Joel Fry. Anna Valerius will be Jamila Jamil. Count Vladislas Dracula will be Rahul Kohli, just hamming it up.
Yes.
Carl will be William Jackson Harper. Frankenstein's monster will be Powerhouse Hobbs. Alira will be Anna de Armas. Verona will be Margaret Qualley. And Marischka will be Ashley Park. Velkin will be Sagar Shaikh. And Dr. Frankenstein will be Betsy Sodaro. All of this will be written by Kelly Marcel and directed by Akiva Schaffer. That is Van Helsing.
Woo!
Aurora, you gonna go see this movie?
100%.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna make another $160 million.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, that's the episode. Aurora, thank you so much for being my guest and encouraging me to watch this movie that was ridiculously fun.
I am so happy that I could persuade you into watching this movie. It didn't take much persuasion, but still, it is one of my favorites of all time.
Hell yeah.
And I am so happy that you got to experience it raw.
Kind of. I went in basically knowing nothing and just seeing the poster. We didn't even bring up the Beyblades.
Oh, that's true! The Beyblade knives!
But that's, you know what? That's for people to watch the movie. You get to enjoy the Beyblades yourself. They're really not a big part of the movie.
No, they're not, but you know what?
But it's a really specific weapon.
Yeah. He did let it rip quite a few times.
He did, in fact, let it rip. But yeah, that's Van Helsing. We have remade Van Helsing. So now, Aurora, it's the time for you. Let people know social media, projects you got working on, whatever you would like people to know or do. Now's the time to let them know. You
could find me on the Instagrams at MY2T1C. For those of the older generation, you would recognize that as Leet Speak for Mystic.
You are too young.
No, but I was on the internet quite young.
Clearly.
Yeah. But also, what does that mean?
Because I remember doing Leet Speak when I was in 7th grade, and I don't know if you were alive when I was in 7th grade.
Which is valid. There's also a very cursed webcomic called Homestuck that uses it a lot.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. So spell your Instagram handle again, please.
MY2T1C Mystic. And you can find me there making my own little monsters when I get to that point.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then if anyone's interested in following me, I'm on BlueSky at Sam Gasch, SamGasch. Or you can find me / the podcast on Instagram at Ideal Remake. Or in the show notes of this episode, you can join the Discord and talk to all the dueling genre folks. We're pretty cool. And love doing nerdy things and talking about them. That is the end of this episode. So I will end this episode the same way I end every episode. Aurora, what is your favorite quote from the movie Van Helsing?
Would you like to fly? Yes!
There we go.
It is!
Perfect.